Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Benoit. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. No. Denham. No. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Dutton. Flores. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Maldonado. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Romero. Runner. Smidian.
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Walters. Wiggins. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Weiland. Yee. Yee, aye. Miss Weiland, aye. Mr. President, ayes 22, noes 4.
Ayes 22, noes 4. Senator Alquist moves the call. File item 23, Senator Liu. Passed temporarily. File item 24, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 25, Senator Yee. Not at his desk. File item 26, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 27, Senator Wiggins. Passed temporarily. Thank you. File item 28, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 29, Senator Harmon. Passed. File item 30, Senator Calderon, not at his desk. File item 31, Senator Steinberg, not at his desk. File item 32, Senator DeSaulnier, not at his desk. File item 33, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 34, pending. File item 35, Senator Liu. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 391 by Senator Liu, an act relating to transportation planning.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 391 would require the California Transportation Plan to address how the state will meet its transportation and mobility needs while also meeting air pollution standards and reducing greenhouse gas emissions in accordance with current law. In preparing the CTP, Caltrans would consult with other state agencies and departments, regional entities, and cities and county associations, and the public. The plan would be updated every 5 years. Member, this bill aligns with California's new direction away from single-purpose planning and regulation and toward integrated processes that recognize the relationships among land use, transportation, housing, air quality, and resource use. Fundamental to that shift is coordination among the local, regional, and state governments and public involvement at all levels. AB 32 of 2006 and SB 375 and SB 732 of 2008 have accelerated this shift. SB 391 is an effort to fit another piece of the puzzle into an integrated statewide planning process that will secure a sustainable future for California, and I ask for your aye vote on this matter.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Correa, no. Cox, no. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? No. Yee. Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 15, noes 12.
Ayes 15, noes 12. The measure is on call. File item 36, Senator DeSaulnier. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 531 by Senator
confused.
DeSaulnier, an act relating to solid waste.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 531 is a simple bill that directs the Integrated Waste Management Board, when they're doing their educational process for recycled goods, to refer to the League of California Cities, the California Association of Counties, CSAC, private and public water services, and retail stores when they consider this education process. It has had bipartisan support. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Alquist? Onestad, no. Alquist, aye. Ashburn? Benoit? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? No. Denham? DeSaulnier?
Aye.
Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? No. Yee.
Place on call, Mr.
Maldonado? Aye. Mr. President, ayes 15, noes 11.
Ayes 15, noes 11.
the
Senator
call, Mr.
DeSaulnier
President.
moves a call. File item 37, Senator Leno in conference. File item 38, Senator Flores, not at his desk. File item 39, Senator Calderon, not at his desk. File item 40, Senator Padilla, not at his desk. File item 41, Senator Wolk. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 660 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to reverse mortgages.
Mr. President, Senate Bill 660 addresses the growing concerns around the sale of reverse mortgages to seniors. The bill would impose an explicit duty of honesty, good faith, and fair dealing on those involved in the recommendation and sale of reverse mortgages. It would also require banks to provide a checklist of important issues that a potential borrower must discuss with a HUD counselor prior to the loan application being approved. Reverse mortgages are loans that allow senior homeowners to convert a portion of their home equity into cash. They're complex and expensive loans with potentially devastating financial consequences. Yet they are being increasingly marketed with impunity to thousands of seniors in California for whom they may or may not be suitable. I have worked with the opposition, taking substantial amendments to address their concerns. The realtors are neutral. The mortgage bank brokers are now in support. I am continuing to work with the bankers on their one remaining issue. The issues raised in the floor alert were discussed at length in the Judiciary Committee, and most of the claims were dispelled, in my view. This bill imposes the same standard on the banking community that the insurance industry has abided for 20 years when selling insurance to seniors. It's the same standard that's used in numerous other code sections and defined in case law. There's nothing ambiguous about honesty, good faith, and fair dealing. And given the unique nature of the reverse mortgage product and that it is marketed almost exclusively to seniors, applying the standard to the sale of reverse mortgages seems to me very appropriate and very reasonable. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Cogdill.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I unfortunately rise in opposition to this bill. I know we're all very concerned about reverse mortgages and the impacts of those and the problems that can and do at times develop as it relates to seniors and using those that use reverse mortgages. And I know that this body in its concern, passed SB 1609 by Senator Simitian to deal with some of the concerns relating to reverse mortgages, and I think that bill in many ways addresses most of the concerns that many have, and I think we've taken a big step in doing that. This bill, I'm concerned, will have the effect of actually limiting the amount of mortgage options available to senior citizens, and really will do more good for the trial bar than it will for senior citizens, and that's certainly my concern. Again, with this bill, the author talked about the amendments that she's made, and we certainly appreciate those. But again, I think there needs to be some additional work on this bill before I would be able to support it, and as such, I'm asking for a no vote.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad?
Forgive me, Senator Wolf, would you like to close?
Just briefly, I continue to work with the opposition. I think that the fact that the number of these federally insured reverse mortgages are throughout the nation and in California are skyrocketing, and what we know about the subprime lenders who are moving into this field, I think it would be absolutely reasonable and appropriate to create a standard to which the banking community should be held, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? No. DeGretta McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Simitian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Weiland? No. Yee. Mr. President, ayes 14, noes 13.
Ayes 14, noes 13. Senator Wolf moves the call. File item 42, Senator Alquist. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 43 by Senator Alquist, an act relating to health professions.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. SB 43 seeks to increase the amount of data available to shape policy so that it reflects California's actual health care needs. The problem is that the Healthcare Workforce Clearinghouse gathers data on California's workforce and its education, but the data cannot be used to its fullest extent. The problem stems from a ban on EDDs sharing data and the fact that licensing boards cannot collect cultural and linguistic competency information, and that is what SB 43 fixes. So it authorizes the collection and sharing of data to help California plan for its future health care needs. I ask for your support.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Simitian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee. Padilla, aye. Benoit, aye. Calderon, aye. Huff, aye. Mr. President, ayes 26, noes 2.
Ayes 26, noes 2. Senator Alquist moves a call. File item 43, Senator Yee, not at his desk. File item 44, Senator Negrete McLeod. Pass. File item 45, Senator Kehoe. Pass. File item 46, Senator Kehoe. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 626 by Senator Kehoe, an act relating to electrical infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. This bill directs the California Public Utilities Commission, in consultation with the California Energy Commission and the Air Resources Board and the motor vehicle industry, to evaluate and adopt policies to ensure the smooth deployment of electric-powered and plug-in hybrid vehicles here in California. The PUC would be looking at our transmission systems, smart grid reliability, charging infrastructure, and any legal impediments that might stand in the way of having widespread deployment of electric and plug-in hybrids. The bill passed 2 policy committee hearings with bipartisan support and the Fiscal Committee. It's supported by Nissan, Toyota, Tesla, Plug-in America, and Union of Concerned Scientists. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. DeChaney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee. Calderon? Aye. Mr. President, ayes 27, noes 1.
Ayes 27, noes 1. The bill is passed. Delayed members have arrived. We still have 3 members, however, who are in conference. 5 members who are in conference, all of whom will be permitted to add on given the waiver of the rules earlier in the session. Henceforth, if bills do have a majority vote, we will announce that the bill is passed and allow those 5 members to add on subsequent to the conference committee. File item. Ayes 27, noes 1, and we will be lifting the call on other measures later today. On this one, the vote is final. The bill is passed. File item 47, Senator Lowenthal in conference. File item 48, Senator Padilla. Pass. File item 48, Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 17 by Senator Padilla, an act relating to electricity.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 17 members will move California to the forefront of the national deployment of smart grid technology and will accelerate the modernization of California's own electricity infrastructure. As many of us have learned over the course of the last year, the smart grid technology helps electrical utilities manage their load more effectively, more efficiently, and can also do wonders in securing the reliability and safety of our electrical infrastructure while reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Significant federal funding is available through the economic stimulus package, and so therefore this bill is both timely as well as we'll do a couple specific things. It establishes the deployment of smart grid technology as the policy of the state, would require the PUC by July 1st of 2010 to establish requirements of smart grid in the state consistent with this bill as well as federal law. Third, it would require that each electrical corporation develop their plans for smart grid deployment by July 1st, 2011, and submit those plans to the PUC. Would require publicly owned electrical utilities to establish their plans along the same time frame consistent with federal law. This bill has enjoyed unanimous bipartisan support through the committee process. I ask your aye vote here today.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe?
Aye.
Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla?
Aye.
Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee aye. Denham? Denham aye.
Call the absent members.
Ducheney? Dutton? Leno? Lowenthal? Steinberg? Walters?
Ayes 33, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 49, Senator Pavley. Passed. File item 50, Senator Wright. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 31. One moment.
Senator Wright, one moment, please, while we clarify.
Senate Bill 161 by Senator Wright, an act relating to health care coverage.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this bill has enjoyed much bipartisan support. Simply put, what it does is it specifies that oral cancer treatments would be treated the same way in a health policy that intravenous treatments would be treated with respect to the policy. In appropriations, we took an amendment for California costs, but I'm hoping, even though that we don't include CalPERS, that CalPERS will follow the lead of this bill. It is current law in several states. The growing method of distributing cancer treatment is going to be intravenous in the future. There's some 40 medicines that are already available. There's another 75 or 100 that are in development. There are a number of people who are unable to do the intravenous method of taking cancer treatment. This would simply equalize the method of delivery between the two. Again, it's enjoyed bipartisan support. I would ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Weiland.
I like this bill. I just have a quick question of the author. If insurers now don't treat these two the same, are they denying the in-home use of the medication, or how are they now treating?
Well, simply put, the controversy occurred because there are a number of oral medications that are simply treated as prescription. And so because it's a prescription, the patient would have to pay for it out of pocket, as opposed to that drug being introduced in an intravenous fashion. It would be covered by the health policy. This would simply equalize that playing field so that the oral medication would also be treated as a part of the covered portion of the policy.
I assume the insurers favor this approach.
Well, some do, some don't. Most are concerned about the fact that if you change the protocol for what's listed as an oral medication, that they say that it might incur cost. One of the things that we've discovered is that if you don't have to place someone in the hospital, if you don't have to install a shunt in their arm or their chest for the cancer medication, that there's a cost savings that works out. It really gets down to the specifics of an individual drug. Some of them are more expensive, and we may have to have more research in terms of what's covered by policies in general. But this simply says that you wouldn't count oral treatments and intravenous treatments differently. We had a number of people, Senator Weiland, who actually suffered harm because of the infections and other things that they got during the oral medication or the intravenous medications that would have been avoided had the oral option been available.
For all those reasons, I think this is a good bill, and I would also urge an aye vote.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Wright, you may close.
I would ask for an aye vote, Mr. President.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Corbett, aye. Benoit, aye. Mr. President, ayes 31, no 0.
Ayes 31, no 0. The bill is passed. File item 51, Senator Wright. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 190 by Senator Wright, an act relating to misbranded food.
Madam Chair, Mr. President, pardon me. This bill, Mr. President, deals with the fact that there's a recent popularity in pomegranate juice. And as things become more popular, then you get imitations that show up in the marketplace. From an antioxidant and a number of other standpoints, pomegranate juice offers significant health benefits. The problem becomes is oftentimes what you think is pomegranate juice is really pear juice, or it may be something else. Now, while those things might be labeled if you read the fine print on the ingredients, but what you'll find is that pomegranate juice may be the 5th or 6th item listed in a product that's actually billed as pomegranate juice. Because California is one of the leading producers of pomegranate juice now in the world, as this juice becomes more popular, this is an effort to make sure that our own brands produced here in California are not undercut, so to speak, by juices that profess to be pomegranate juice and that contain the health benefits that don't. I know sometimes people are concerned and they go, well, you're looking out for one industry over another. Again, this is a case where the labeling ought to be accurate. It requires that ultimately the health department is the arbiter of what gets labeled as health conscious pomegranate juice and what does not. So the bill does not specify that how we label it. It actually leaves that process to the state health department to make the actual determination for what can carry the pomegranate juice label. I would ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion, members? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 31, no 0. Huff, aye. Ayes 32, no 0.
Ayes 32, no 0. The bill is passed. File item 52, Senator Strickland. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 326 by Senator Strickland, an act relating to land use.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 326 is sponsored by the County of Santa Barbara. This measure will allow the county to have a better idea on the foreclosure market in the region. The county is traditionally the last county out of a recession, therefore the last one to get out of the recession, so they need to look at the numbers. SB 326 will allow us to better assess the situation, hopefully assist in drawing down federal dollars. To date, the county has successfully been able to capture some federal dollars. SB 326, in an effort, will assist in continuing the Santa Barbara to go forward in this process. Ask for your vote.
Or discussion? Any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? Without objection, ayes 33, no 0. The bill is passed. File item 53, Senator Kehoe. Not at her desk. File item 54, Senator Lowenthal in conference. File item 55, Senator Yee. Not at his desk. File item 56, Senator Ashburn. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 726 by Senator Ashburn, an act relating to medicine.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senators. Many of our rural and urban areas of the state are having a very difficult time hiring the physicians that are needed to provide a high level of medical care. And so what this bill allows district hospitals is the same opportunity afforded to other governmentally operated hospitals to directly hire physicians. And the bill is significantly narrowed from what we originally intended by specifying that only qualified district hospitals would have this opportunity. The hospital must have shown that they had been unsuccessful in recruiting and hiring physicians for a period of time prior to using this opportunity, and extends as a pilot until January 1st, 2018. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion, members? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Papley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Corbett, aye. Correa, aye. Cogdill, aye. Benoit, aye. Wyland, aye to no. Hollingsworth, aye. Mr. President, ayes 31, noes 2.
Ayes 31, noes 2. The bill is passed. File item 57, pass. Senator Wiggins. File item 58, Senator Strickland. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 744 by Senator Strickland, an act relating to clinical laboratories and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I introduce SB 744 on behalf of the Department of Health to modify the fee structure supporting the oversight of clinical laboratories. This bill is in response to last year's report by the state, which found the department lacking in its mandated oversight on clinical laboratories. We've been working with opposition. In fact, we've removed opposition from public labs as well as Quest. I will continue to work with the remaining opposition groups to address their concerns. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Correa, aye. Cedillo, aye. Ashburn, aye. Oropesa, aye. Cogdill, aye. Mr. President, ayes 33, no 0.
Ayes 33, no 0. The bill is passed. File item 59, Senator Maldonado. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 142 by Senator Maldonado, an act relating to public social services.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. SB 142 will require the Department of Social Services, along with appropriate stakeholders, to devise a method ensuring that IHS home providers get a list of approved duties before working as an IHSS recipient. The process is to be implemented by December 31st of 2011. I would ask for an aye vote, Mr. President.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? No. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Kehoe, aye. Oropesa, aye. Corbett, aye. Mr. President, ayes 27, noes 1.
Ayes 27, noes 1. The bill is passed. File item 60, Senator Flores. An act relating to school safety? Pass. File item 61, Senator DeSaulnier. Pass. File item 62, Senator Wolk. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 459 by Senator Wolk, an act related to tidelands and submerged lands.
Mr. President, Senate Bill 459 addresses the issue of abandoned watercraft on state waterways. There are an increasing number of boat owners who are storing their vessels on state lands without permission and dumping or abandoning their old or unworthy vessels on state lands. These vessels often pollute the water, present safety issues, and are frankly an eyesore. There are plenty in the Delta, but it's not solely a Delta issue. Currently, the State Lands Commission has the authority to remove and dispose of abandoned and trespassing vehicles on state lands. However, the process is cumbersome and requires the Commission to file a lawsuit through the Attorney General's office. This bill streamlines the lengthy and expensive judicial process by permitting the Commission to decide the final disposition of abandoned and trespassing vehicles and vessels and trespassing ground tackle through an administrative process. This process includes notice, public hearing requirements, an extra day 30-day waiting period at the request of the Department of Finance, and at the request of the Judiciary Committee, addition of notification of all lien holders. This bill is sponsored by the State Lands Commission and supported by the recreational boaters. There is no opposition. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion, Senator Cogdill.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of this bill. I think it's long overdue and something that we've been needing to address for a long time. I appreciate the author's willingness to take amendments in the Judiciary Committee that we had talked about in Natural Resources relating to notice. I think now there is definitely an adequate amount of time there to allow owners to deal with these issues on their own should they choose, but at the same time provide us with the necessary means to remove this blight from the Delta. So again, I support the bill and ask for an aye vote.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, Ms. Wolk, forgive me again. You may close.
I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onstad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 30, noes 2.
Ayes 30, noes 2. The bill is passed. File item 63, Senator Flores. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 517 by Senator Flores, an act related to horse racing and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, members. This bill would authorize a Thoroughbred Association or fair to file a written notice with the California Horse Racing Board to alter the amount deducted or the takeout for horse racing wagering and allow these funds to be modified or redirected. In the bill, at the end, this bill is about self-reliance, reinvesting in California for growth, and protecting jobs in the industry. Would ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onstad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee, no. Hollingsworth, aye. Harmon, aye. DeSaulnier, no. Mr. President, ayes 30, noes 2.
Ayes 30, noes 2. The bill is passed. File item 64, Senator Hollingsworth. Not at his desk. File item 65, Senator Leno. In conference. File item 66, Senator Kehoe. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 149 by Senator Kehoe, an act relating to the payment of claims against the state, making an appropriation therefore, and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is one of our customary claims bills. It left Senate Appropriations on a 12-0 vote. It is an urgency measure. There's nothing controversial in here. This is paying checks that were lost and are being asked to be reissued again, and other kinds of normal business requests. So I would ask for your aye vote. It is an urgency measure. It has had no votes.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Is there any objection to the unanimous roll call? Absent any objection, ayes 33, noes 0 on the urgency. Ayes 33, noes 0 on the bill. The bill is passed. File item 67, Senator Calderon. Pass. File item 68, Senator Kehoe. Pass. File item 69, Senator Wolk. The Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 679 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to state parks.
Mr. President, SB 679 will preserve the integrity of the California State Park System and will protect the taxpayers' investment in parks. This bill will prohibit the disposal of state park lands for uses other than park uses unless the park land is substituted with land that has equal value and the State Parks and Recreation Commission has considered all practical alternatives to the disposal. Our park system, I hope, will remain the largest state park system in the world, with 279 parks, over a million acres of land, and visited by 76 million people a year. There is increasing development pressure throughout the state that has come to bear on the park system. Existing law does not provide for an unambiguous, clear policy for protecting the parks when other uses are proposed. 679 will enact a common-sense protection and process for state parks. This bill is sponsored by the State Parks Foundation, and I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Papley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Runner, aye to no.
Call the absent members.
Cedillo? DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Flores, aye. Cedillo, aye. Leno? Lowenthal? Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Steinberg? Walters?
Senator Wolk, your bill is on call. Ayes 18, noes 13. The measure is on call. We are going to return now to file item 67. Senator Calderon, you wish to take up file item 67. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 318 by Senator Calderon, an act relating to dogfighting.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, This bill, SB 318, is a measure whose goal is to create a financial disincentive to the crime of dogfighting. Dogfighting, as you know, it's an underground crime. It's an insidious crime, often associated with gangs and drugs, and it desensitizes our youth and breeds even more violence. It's truly horrible. The Humane Society of the United States, who's a co-sponsor of SB 318, reports there are 40,000 people involved in organized dogfighting in America, and the result is 250,000 dogs that die every year. SB 318 allows for the forfeiture of property acquired through dog fighting. This bill is different from the past because this forfeiture measure, the proceeds are shared with the animal welfare organizations that rescue and rehabilitate fighting dogs. The bill is co-sponsored by the Humane Society of the United States, California State Sheriff's Association, and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? Cox, aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 31, noes 2.
Ayes 31, noes 2. The bill is passed. File item 70, Senator Alquist. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 769 by Senator Alquist, an act relating to federal funding.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. SB 769 requires that the legislature appropriate stimulus funds to be used for chronic disease control and prevention activities at the local level. Ask for your support.
Debate or discussion, members? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist?
Aye.
Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? Cogdill, aye. Corbett, aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Cedillo, aye. Kehoe, aye. Kehoe, aye. Ashburn, aye. Hollingsworth, aye. Can I call
Ayes 33, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 71, Senator Liu. Secretary will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 20 by Senator Liu relative to the Children of Incarcerated Parents Bill of Rights.
Mr. President, members, I ask for your support of SCR 20. The Bill of Rights for Children with Incarcerated Parents makes a series of statements that will help improve outcomes for children with a parent in jail or prison by providing a decision-making framework for delivery of services. More than 1 in 10 children in the nation has a parent involved with our criminal justice system, and 14 other states have already passed similar legislation to help these families. When a parent is incarcerated, their children become unintended victims. An arrest event and the resulting parent-child separation can result in child difficulties such as poor school performance, use of alcohol and drugs, truancy, attachment issues, and an increased likelihood of becoming an inmate later in life. The challenges are great, but so is the opportunity. If children are given rights within the systems that touch their lives once a parent is arrested, and we effectively implement interventions and safeguards, then we can help these children thrive and reach their full potential. And I ask for your support of this concurrent resolution.
Debate or discussion? Is there any objection to the unanimous roll call? There is objection. Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Duchesne? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee aye. Pavley aye. Hollingsworth aye. Ashburn aye. Benoit aye. Mr. President, ayes 30, no 0.
Ayes 30, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. File item 72, Senator Padilla. Pass. File item 73. Special consent. File item 74, Senator Ashburn. Senator Ashburn. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 783 by Senator Ashburn, an act relating to high-speed rail.
Mr. President and Senators, high-speed rail is one of the most ambitious public works projects ever attempted, certainly in the history of California. And at the very minimum, there ought to be an up-to-date business plan. What this bill incorporates are the recommendations of the legislative analyst for the preparation of a business plan with the elements of a plan being identified. This bill calls for the first of those updates in 2012 and for each 2 years after. The public has every right to expect a full disclosure and understanding of how their dollars are being used in the construction operation of the high-speed rail. And so, with an eye toward accountability, I ask for your yes vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Duchesne? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Lou. Aye. Lowenthal. Maldonado. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian.
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee aye. Correa aye. Dusanier aye. Cedillo aye. Pavley aye. Okay, Mr. President, ayes 33, no 0.
Ayes 33, no 0. The bill is passed. File item 75, special consent. File item 76, Senator Calderon. Senator Calderon on file item 76. Yes, Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 36 by Senator Calderon, an act relating to mortgages.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senators, SB 36 will conform California's mortgage lending and brokering laws to the Federal SAFE Act. By conforming, California will retain its ability to regulate and supervise the activities of mortgage loan originators in the state. If we fail to conform, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development will take control over the regulation and supervision of our mortgage loan originators, something we definitely want to avoid. SB 36 has the support of the California Association of Realtors, California Mortgage Association, and the California Association of Mortgage Brokers. Finally, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. The bill has no opposition. I ask for your support.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. Dusanier? DeChaney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee. Yee aye. Cedillo aye. Pavley aye. Mr. President, ayes 31, noes 1.
Ayes 31, noes 1. The bill is passed. File item 77, Senator DeSaulnier. Not at his desk. Excuse me, Senator Denham. The resemblance is striking. Secretary will call the roll.
Senate Bill 130.
Secretary will read. Forgive me, Senator.
Senate Bill 130 by Senator Denham, an act relating to the King City Joint Union High School District, making an appropriation therefore and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. President, members, King City Joint Unified High School District is in fiscal crisis due to several factors: high salary schedule, benefits, declining enrollment, continued deficit spending, and a PERB decision have made it impossible for the district to become fiscally, financially solvent. Loans from the Monterey County Office of Education are helping to keep the doors open for the moment. However, the loan will run out July 1st. Courts ruled in 1991 in a case with Richmond Unified that it's the state's responsibility to address school districts' fiscal crises. The April 13th amendments conform to SB 130. The language in AB 2756, Dauscher Bill from 2004, which was established as a process for state oversight. The May 6th Amendment to SB 130 were taken in the request of the Senate Education Committee and call for an initial $5 million appropriation come from the general fund and would have the district go directly to the I-Bank for the rest of the $8 million. The entire $13 million would be financed by the district with the I-Bank over 20 years. This was the financing used by Compton in 2006. The disbursement of funds would not happen all at once, rather smaller amounts would be apportioned to the district as deemed necessary by the state administrator and the FCMAT, the Fiscal Crisis Management Assistance Team, which will be coming in to renegotiate all of the needs of the district. This bill has support from the stakeholders, no opposition, and no votes. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Cheney? Dutton? Flores?
We don't have to bail them out.
Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee? Yee aye. Cedillo aye. Benoit aye. Mr. President, ayes 28, noes 3.
Ayes 28, noes 3 on the urgency. Ayes 28, noes 3 on the bill. The bill is passed. File item 78, special consent. File item 79, file item 80, file item 81, special consent. File item 82, Senator Alquist. File item 82, Senator Alquist. Pass. File item 83, Senator Duchesne in conference. File item 84, Senator Duchesne in conference. File item 88, Senator Correa. Secretary will read. 85.
Senate Bill 398 by Senator Correa, an act relating to mobile homes.
This bill, Mr. President, Senate Bill 398, comes out of the hearings of the Senate Select Committee on Manufactured Homes on fire park safety enforcement problems that came out of the wildfires in the fall of 2008. What this bill does, it essentially enables local authorities to assume jurisdiction from the California Department of Housing and Community Development for full fire code safety in mobile home parks without being subject to certain conditions of having either assume all of the local fire code enforcements and to be limited only by partial code enforcement. And members, if I can take you back to those wildfires, afterwards the cleanup became problematic because you have many local government and state jurisdictions over this issue. Nobody wanted to step up to the plate to take over to address the issues of how to start the cleanups. And what this bill essentially does, again, is just enables the local authorities to take authority and take care of the problem immediately. I ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Duchesne? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? E-I? Mr. President, ayes 24, noes 8.
Ayes 24, noes 8. The bill is passed. File item 86, Senator Wolk. Secretary will read.
Mr. President.
Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 402 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to taxation.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 402 will enhance revenues without cuts or taxes by doing a better job of collecting the taxes that are owed under the law. This measure will employ information technology to prevent tax delinquents from evading the burden of paying for public services and shifting it onto those who do pay their taxes. The bill requires financial institutions to match its customer records against the FTB's database of individuals with final tax delinquencies, just as they do currently for child support obligations. Several other states already use this data matching for income tax delinquencies, and there's never been a better time for California, a more crucial time, to update our efforts to collect taxes. This measure has no opposition, and I ask for an aye vote. It is currently being used in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Indiana, and many, many other states. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? No. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? E-I? Mr. President, ayes 19, noes 14.
Ayes 19, noes 14. Call the absent members.
DeSaulnier? DeCheney? Dutton? Leno? Lowenthal? Walters?
Ayes 19, noes 14. Senator Wolk moves the call. File item 87, Senator DeCheney in conference. File item 88, Senator Wright, not at his desk. Passed temporarily. Thank you. File item 89, Senator Ashburn. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 519 by Senator Ashburn, an act relating to retirement.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senators. This measure deals with survivor benefits for California Highway Patrol officers, firefighters, peace officers, and school classified employees who otherwise are not eligible under Social Security. Believe it or not, this eliminates a 50-year-old sunset that would occur on January 1st, 2010, to continue to provide survivor benefits to these employees who do not have benefits under Social Security. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Correa, aye. DeSaulnier, aye. Mr. President, ayes 33, no 0.
Ayes 33, noes 0. The bill is passed. File item 90, Senator Wiggins. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 539 by Senator Wiggins, an act relating to salmon and stillhead trout.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. SB 539 will clarify the Ocean Protection Council's role in the state's effort to bring back our native salmon and steelhead populations. For the second year in a row, California oceans will be closed to commercial salmon fishing. This bill will give the OPC the clarity it needs to dedicate existing funding to salmon restoration and to coordinate with the Department of Fish and Game and the state and local water boards and the Coastal Conservancy and others to concentrate before it is too late. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 23, noes 10.
Ayes 23, noes 10. Ayes 23, noes 10. The bill is passed. File item 91, special consent. File item 92, special consent. File item 93, Senator Liu. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 597 by Senator Liu, an act relating to services for children.
Mr. President, members, SB 597 conforms state laws to several provisions of the new federal act so that California's children and families can benefit from new national opportunities. This bill allows reasonable payments to foster providers to arrange transportation for a foster youth to continue to attend his or her old high school, requires the Department of Social Services to develop a plan for an ongoing oversight of health care services for all children in foster care, requires DSS and licensed adoption agencies to provide information about federal adoption tax credits to any person considering the adoption of a foster child. This is a bill to conform with the new federal mandates. There is no opposition. I ask for your support on this bill.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Is there any objection to unanimous roll call? There is. Call the roll.
Onestad? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? I. Calderon. I. Cedillo. I. Cogdill. I. Corbett. I. Correa. I. Cox. I. Denham. I. DeSaulnier. I. DeChaney. Dutton. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. I. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. Kehoe. I. Leno. Lou. I. Lowenthal. Maldonado. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Romero. I. Runner. I. Simidian.
Aye.
I. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Walters. Wiggins. I. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Weiland. I. Yee. Yee, aye. Ashburn, aye. Mr. President, ayes 31, noes 1.
Ayes 31, noes 1. The bill is passed. File item 94, special consent. File item 95, special consent. File item 96, special consent. File item 97, special consent. File item 98, Senator DeSaulnier. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 723 by Senator DeSaulnier, an act relating to electronic waste.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under current law, the Integrated Waste Management does a survey every year.
One moment, Senator. Please proceed.
Thank you. That was very helpful, Mr. President. Under current law, the Integrated Waste Management does a survey to determine the costs and the revenue for the recycling industry, for private recyclers and for local government. But it does not allow to adjust those costs except for every other year. This bill merely allows the Integrated Waste Management to do the survey and to do the adjustments annually if they determine it's necessary. There's no opposition to the bill, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Senator Cedillo, your microphone is up. Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier?
Aye.
Aye. DeChaney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Lou? Aye. Lowenthal? Maldonado? No. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Simidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Strickland, no. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Weiland, aye to no.
Oh, Mark.
Correa, no. Mr. President, ayes 20, noes 14.
Ayes 20, noes 14. Senator DeSaulnier moves a call. File item 99, Senator Leno in conference. File item 100, Senator Padilla. Passed. File item 101, Senator Alquist. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 38 by Senator Alquist, an act relating to emergency services.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Almost 600,000 individuals in California have Alzheimer's disease. Within a generation, the number of Californians with Alzheimer's disease will more than double to 1.1 million. So we in California have the largest population of seniors in the nation and the largest population of those with Alzheimer's disease. Many times, seniors with Alzheimer's disease or dementia wander away from home, and we have no uniform alert system to help with recovery. These seniors do not know their names or addresses and carry no identification. So I think it's important that we come up with a plan called the Silver Alert, which is similar to the Amber Alert, but we've taken out the EAS, the Emergency Alert System piece, the costly piece of it, but to create a system to use technologies to help law enforcement have a protocol for dealing with with seniors who wander away. The Silver Alert calls for the development of consistent policies and procedures to recover as quickly as possible. Seniors who have wandered away from home using alert methods already available, just not in every jurisdiction. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Runner.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most successful law enforcement programs we have in the state right now is the Amber Alert. It has saved well over 100 children. Every time an Amber Alert has been used in the state of California, the child has been recovered successfully. While there's good intentions here, and quite frankly, I think I'm probably just going to stay off of this bill right now, because right now there are concerns by law enforcement, also with broadcasters in regards to the integration of this issue and the potential problem that it creates when it overlaps over the Amber Alert. Let me just make sure we understand the difference between an Amber Alert where a child has been abducted and is usually then taken very quickly out of a community in a car, which is why the freeway signs, the radio issues are so important, and the TV notices are so important, versus a senior who's missing, who is usually located close to where it is that they were last seen. The tools are just totally different. And so, again, there's probably a role here. There's some point of coordination, but there is concerns. And so I would ask the author to continue to kind of work through, narrow the bill. Right now, I know the bill only goes into effect if there's federal funds available for it. But I think it needs to be very carefully done so we don't undermine the very successful program that the state of California has in finding abducted children.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Ahlquist, you may close.
Senator Runner, thank you for allowing me to speak a little more fully about the bill. In appropriations, we took an amendment to say that we could not use the EAS system, which is the system that is used for the Amber Alert. So hopefully your concern is alleviated on that point. The Broadcasters Association is now in support, and the San Jose Police are also in support. And what the bill says now, since it has been amended in appropriations, is that technologies to be used include neighborhood canvassing and lighting of any local digital street signs, emergency digital information system, critical reach software, locally focused cell phone text message alerts, collaboration with local 211 telephone systems, reverse 911 interactive community notification. So we are using other technologies that don't go quite as far as what is used with the Amber Alert, but still will be of great help in rescuing seniors with Alzheimer's and dementia. This is very much needed, and I ask for your support. And as I mentioned also, this only happens if we get money from the feds.
Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Ahlquist?
Aye.
Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? Calderon? Cedillo?
Aye.
Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? Desaunier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Correa? Aye. Onestad? No. Calderon? Aye. Benoit? No.
Call the absent members.
Denham? Ducheney? Dutton? Huff? Leno? Negrete McLeod? Runner? Strickland? Walters? Denham, aye. Mr. President, ayes 23, noes 8.
Ayes 23, noes 8. The bill is passed. Senator DeSaulnier, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just briefly want to ask the Senate to give a warm welcome to a group of young Polish athletes who are here to participate in an international competition in Concord. They're in the gallery, so if you could welcome them.
We join you in welcoming your guests, Senator. Thank you very much. File item 102, Senator Lowenthal. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 41 by Senator Lowenthal, an act relating to firearms.
Thank you, Mr. President. Currently, members, persons who acquire, dispose, or move into California with a handgun have to go through a handgun registration process. With the surge of sales and the increase of dealer record of sales, or the DROS forms, it's important to ensure accuracy, and I believe that this bill improves the existing verification registration process. Specifically, it requires gun dealers, in addition to the current requirements of noting the date of delivery, to now obtain the buyer's signature on the dealer record of sale form upon the delivery of the handgun and provide the purchaser with a copy of the signed form. It improves the manner in which law enforcement reports acquisitions, ownership, and disposition of firearms obtained in the course and scope of their duties. It clarifies that peace officers who take possession of guns in the course and scope of their duties are exempt from normal reporting requirements and restrictions if they deliver the firearms to the employing agency within 24 hours of acquiring it. It eliminates duplicative reporting requirements, which assist secondhand dealers who are also licensed as gun dealers as long as they report. And finally, it makes various changes to the DROS process suggested by the Department of Justice to facilitate transmission of information, which should also control costs. Members, there are no fees in this bill, and I ask for an aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? No. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Romero? Runner? No. Simidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Romero, aye. Benoit, no. Mr. President, ayes 21, noes 12.
Ayes 21, noes 12. The bill is passed. File item 103, special consent, Senator Corbett. File item 104, Senator Cedillo. Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 60 by Senator Cedillo, an act relating to vehicles.
Members, great honor and privilege I stand before you to introduce SB 60. You've heard the policy arguments in the past, but what you have not heard is the urgency that exists today, an urgency for us to come into full compliance with the Federal Real ID Act, an urgency that indicates that we have received the last extension and our efforts to be dilatory and to delay this implementation no longer exist. We're duty-bound to comply with the federal law. Our failure to do so will have an adverse impact on all of us who hold a California driver's license today. And so I ask you for your aye vote in consideration of full compliance with the Federal Real ID Act. I thank you.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? No. Desaulniers? Aye. DeCheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? No. DeGretta McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Weiland? Weiland, no. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 21, noes 13.
Call the absent members.
DeCheney? Dutton? Pavley? Pavley, aye. Walters? Wright? Mr. President.
Ayes 22, noes 13.
Wright, aye. Ayes 23, noes.
Ayes 23, noes 13. The bill is passed. Senator Alquist and Senator Romero. At Senator Alquist's desk.
We would like to acknowledge 4 people from my district from San Jose who are in the back of the chamber, and they are, first of all, Sylvia Alvarez, whose son Sal was my district director when I was in the Assembly, and Marilee Clavery, trustee, Kathy Gomez, assistant superintendent for Evergreen, and Brian Wheatley, California Teachers Association.